no stone, I'm alive, and I'm no rock. I'm alive, and I see things mighty clear today. I'm alive. I'm alive, and I'm breathing clean, fresh air today. I'm alive. Yes, I am.
Have fun.
Let's go!
Welcome, Free Ride World, to Kicking Horse in Golden, BC.
Have fun, buddy. You too.
We are live here in Barret in beautiful Spain. That was huge!
What a return to glory.
It is crunch time here on the Free Ride World Tour. Whoa, massive transfer!
This is the Extreme Verbier.
What are we waiting? An interview? Oh, just wait. Yep. That's it.
You're listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers.
I am a champion. When it takes all, rise or fall, whether team or solo. I'm doing it for the cause as well as the applause. Fans love it when the points is on the scoreboard. Cheering and jeering, we're hitting 6 and 4s. We dominating as the player hating. Devastated how easily we brush them aside.
When I was waiting in the bar, where were you? When I was buying you a drink, where were you? When I was crying at home in bed, where were you?
Hello, Whistler. Welcome. Hello, folks at home. We love you. Welcome to iF3 All Girls Night. We are so excited that you are joining us. We have some amazing female-led and female-focused films for you this evening, as well as some interviews with those athletes and producers from the films. I am Alexandra Armstrong. I'm one of your hosts for the evening. I am a Whistler-based free skier, but born from ice from Quebec. And you can see me in the Blank film this year, and I'm so excited for you to be joining us.
And I'm Amy David, and I am so excited to be here in Whistler. I traveled from Idaho, originally from Wyoming. I am also a skier and snowmobiler, primarily in the backcountry, trying to avoid the ice, which Alex can handle so well. She also is incredible in the powder, as you're going to see in the Blank movie later. But tonight we are really excited to introduce to you, both here in person and for the online folks, a lineup of extremely talented and strong female athletes who are leading in these films, as well as a few of the film producers who are here, and we're going to Q&A them and get as much as we can out of them in 5 minutes. So we're gonna roll some teasers of each of their films, do an interview, and then we're gonna take a break before actually playing the full feature films. So stay tuned for that. For those of you who are here in person, we would love if you take photos and tag at iF3 Festival. The iF3 will then share your content, so we'd love to see what it's like from your point of view here, and Alex is going to kick things off with our first interview. First, she's going to tell us our sponsors.
Yeah, so we could not put together this night without our sponsors. So we would love to thank Steam Whistle, keeping us hydrated, as well as Monster Energy Drinks, as well as Massif du Sud. I hear they are the hidden powder stash of the East, 45 minutes from La Vie. And I would also love to thank RMU, one of my sponsors, for sponsoring this evening specifically, as well as Telefilm. And we will be interviewing Hedvig Wessel of the Freeride Tour, also a mogul champion, with her Hedvig's Way, Cookies and Spine, episode 21. We're going to watch the teaser first and have an interview after. Stay tuned. We think.
Those girls were having spines for breakfast, and I'm having a cookie.
And a tiger off the leash. My mind made up. My mind made up. Tell me how you like me now. No, you're never gonna.
My ass is broken. I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Your time is up. I said, tell me.
How about that? So Cookies and Spines, great title. Love the skiing. Can you tell us more about how this whole episode came together?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. I traveled from Norway yesterday. I'm a bit tired, jet-lagged, but it's so good to see all of you here. And so Cookies and Spines was basically a behind-the-scene episode from filming with Warren Miller. We were outside of Revelstoke and had a week of, we had 2 days. It was like, we came from the Freeride World Tour in Canada. It was so bad snow. And we were like, there's no snow. How are we going to film this? And then it was sunny and sunny and sunny. And then suddenly we had 2 days of really terrible weather, which was good, obviously. And then for our window, we had 2 perfect days. So very lucky. And you'll see later. It was a pretty good 1.5 day.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It looks very cold.
Very cold.
Could you tell us about the ratio of filming to standing around? Because that is mentioned quite a bit in the film.
Yeah, I mean, I am personally pretty new to filming, and you do stand a lot waiting. Try to keep warm, move your body, wait for the other girls, but that's part of the game. And it's just fun to be out there with the girls.
That's awesome. Lexi also mentions, and you just mentioned, that competing is very different to filming. What would you say is the biggest difference for you, personally? Very different. First of all, so I have been, just a quick background for me, I've been doing moguls. I did 8 years in the World Cup, 2 Olympics, and then I changed sport to freeride 4 years ago. And I've always been competing, and that's kind of like what I've been doing. And when I started freeriding, I saw there's another space here. You know, we could go ski powder for fun and be filmed, which sounded pretty awesome. So the difference for me, it's like mentally, I prepare the same way. I'm always really focused on my line, like how do I want to ski this the best as possible. And then, but the main difference is like when the Freeride World Tour or when you're competing, you have like a week or maybe even more when you prepare and look through binos, like on every rock. You know the whole mountain, you know everything. And for me, it's like building that up for a week or even more. I get nervous. And it's like this whole, the most important thing in the world. And you ski one run. It's like 20 seconds or 1 minute maybe if you're lucky, if it's a long run. And then you've been preparing for a week. But here it's like you get these runs over and over and over again, where you stand in the bottom if you're, or normally we start in the bottom, we look at the bar nose, and maybe we don't even do that. Maybe we're just on the top, and you just have to go. So you don't really get that nervous, and you don't prepare the same. It's not that intense maybe, but the feeling is the same. Like coming down for a run, if it's on the competition or if it's filming, it's like the same rush and the same excitement. Yeah, and that was a really cool part of the film that I really personally enjoyed, was that how you talked about filming is such teamwork. And if you do a backflip or if the other person stomps a cliff, it's like everyone stomps a cliff. Yeah, that's amazing. But you've announced that you're moving on from the Freeride World Tour. What can we expect coming up from you?
Yes, so that's an announcement I made yesterday, or yesterday. I'm a bit confused with the time zone thing. Yes, I'm not going to compete on the Freeride World Tour this upcoming year. Maybe never, maybe next year, I don't know. I do kind of want that title. I've been second 3 years in a row. And I love to win, so we'll see. So I'm going to film. I'm going to produce my own film and try to push myself as much as I can, and hopefully with some good conditions. So that's my plan.
We love it. You're a winner in our hearts. And another exciting thing coming up for you, Sisters Summit. Tell us more about it. It sounds very exciting. It sounds like kind of like the mountain bike or the skier version of the mountain bike formation, but yes, if you can give us more details.
Yeah, that was for sure our inspiration. Where do I start? So Sisters Summit, just started it, Lexi, Fanny, Leanne, and I, just a few months ago. And we chatted this winter about we miss a place for women to meet. You do have the Fred Walter and you do have the ski films, or you have the competitions, but it's like in the films, you're often that one girl, or maybe you're two lucky girls in the whole film. And we want to bring the girls together in snowboard and skiing. So it's basically, it's been funny because it was like, is it a camp? Is it a film? Is it what is it? But for us, it's so much more. It's a space for women to connect and to learn from each other. And if that is through a film, if it's through the camps that we're hosting, or if it's even through the social network, it's open for everyone, and we just want to share our knowledge. We don't want one girl to be on the top and not, share. I want to teach all the girls who want to learn backflip, and I think that's what we really want to communicate, that knowledge is here for everyone, and if it's about negotiation or how you get a partner or how you get a part in the ski films, we want that information to be open for everyone so we can all become better skiers and snowboarders. So our first summit, our first camp is in November. It's coming up really quickly, but it's been so amazing to just find the partners and find the girls and share it to the world what the girls can do together.
Amazing. I love the idea. So excited to see what comes of it. And okay, a quick cop or drop. So your highlight and your low light of the season. Let's go. Actually, screw it. We're not doing low lights. We're only doing highlights. Let's go.
Highlight of the season?
Yeah.
I think it must be when I was in Alaska skiing with Lexi and McKenna. Going to Alaska has been my dream forever. And this year I was there, and it was pretty magical. It was actually kind of like Norway, just on steroids.
Perfect. And when can we see that footage?
You will see it in my film. So that was actually
Beautiful.
the first thing we filmed for my film for next year, or this year. Yeah, coming out next year.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time, Hedvig. We are going to roll straight into Maria Thomsen's The Pemberton Mom Street Urban Snowboarder teaser. So let's go.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a movie. It's going to be on YouTube, yeah.
Movie?
A movie, yeah. For Burton.
Let's give it up for Maria.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely incredible. When I watch anything street or urban, like my body just instantly gets tense because I can't imagine taking those slams that you do. But I'm so amazed by it. And can you tell us a little bit about the film, Hot Cocoa?
Yeah. So Hot Cocoa, well, first of all, the name came from, it was kind of an intern, but we drank a lot of hot cocoa because when you film a street movie, you stand a lot in the cold. And our filmer kept just saying every time he was going, it's like hot cocoa. So we thought it was a fitting title for the movie. And we started off in Montreal, and then we went to Iceland, and then we ended off in Finland. And I did get hurt on the Finland trip, but the girls killed it, and it was so exciting to just make the movie and have them kill it.
Okay, so you talk about getting hurt. Maybe tell us a glimpse into what that was like, but also just overall when you're progressing in street snowboarding, what that process is like, because you do take heavy hits, but you're clearly greasing it in like very mind-blowing ways. It's very inspiring, but what is the process of progressing in that type of snowboarding like?
Well, it's kind of hard sometimes because you always obviously want to push your limits and like hit like bigger spots or harder spots, but like you want to keep it safe too. So, I mean, sometimes it's a gamble and sometimes accident happens and it definitely hurts to fall, but you just want to avoid getting hurt. But it does happen and you got to find a balance, but when you push your limits, sometimes it's kind of hard and you don't always know.
Okay, so you are nominated for the Best Female Snowboarder Performance
crazy.
of the Year, I believe. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What would you say the highlight of your season was that you think aided to bringing you to that point?
I mean, it kind of is a little bit unexpected because I feel well, it's always hard to be satisfied with your own footage, and this year I feel like it was more of a team effort for the movie, and I was just stoked every time we got a clip, but I personally feel I was lacking a little bit. But the highlight was just to be with the crew, and you guys were talking about it a little bit earlier, but like having the team behind you, that's really, like, you need a team. It's a team effort, and it's not just up to me or anyone else, but we had a really good crew, and yeah, my highlight was just to travel with the girls. And I think Iceland, we had a lot of like troubles in Iceland, like missing board bed, couple of COVID, and lots of weather, but it was probably my highlight just because I haven't been there, and it was really cool to see new spots and just be there.
Iceland sounds amazing. That's definitely one of my top places to go to on my list. Haven't been there yet. But I recently learned that you're a mother, and I was curious if you could talk a little bit about how being a mother in your family life can be similar to the snowboarding and the camaraderie, perhaps with your film crew, or how you balance the two. If you could just kind of touch on that.
Yeah, I don't really think there's any similarities. I almost feel like sometimes it's like two different identities. I go on a street trip and like I'm obviously still a mother and I call my son Teo every day, but it's definitely much different from my daily life at home. You know, we have some more routines but it's really cool. My son is over there somewhere playing. It's cool to bring him into this snowboarding world and like just get to raise him the way and like do stuff that I love, and I love that about it. Is that Greta?
Yes, we do love the Rad Moms. It's inspiring for someone like me who would like to be a mother one day, and to see women like you being out there crushing it and pursuing your dreams still while also maintaining a family life and raising your kid in the mountains is really inspiring.
Thank
you for sharing your story that way.
Thank you, and it's so nice to hear, because I mean the first years of my motherhood life was definitely a little more difficult, like maybe mentally, just to like, I wanted to keep snowboarding, but I like didn't really have like anyone to look up to that was filming street part and being a mom and doing it at the same time. So not that I didn't know it wasn't possible, but I for sure had doubt sometimes or was struggling, and to hear that I can inspire anyone to be a mom and pursue their dreams, keep snowboarding or skiing, or whatever you like, that means a lot.
Yes, we love that. Give her a hand.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we have a little bit of time left, so I'm going to squeeze in a couple more questions if we can.
For sure.
Okay, so tell me about the mindset when you're going out to shoot urban. If I'm saying this right, urban or street.
Yeah, you're all good.
Okay. Coming from someone who's never done that before. How do you look at these different features and pick them out? Because looking at your movie, there's so many creative ways that you're riding these features around the cities. What's your strategy when you go out to choose those features and then you ride them so smooth and stylish? What's the secret sauce? How can somebody else do that?
I don't know this secret sauce, but I think, well, these days, I think snowboarding has changed a bit. Like before, back in the days, people used to go hit like the same spot and people all hit it like it's a party spot, so like the whole crew can hit it. Whereas snowboarding has now changed into these like, the spot is like a one-person spot and it has to be unique and it has to be like it can't have been hit before. So like it's getting more and more difficult to find the perfect spot. But I mean, we spend hours spot hunting when we go on a trip, and we just drive around in the car like looking in alleyways, looking at schools, Googling, like we'll Google Earth like things that looks like a rail and we'll drive there or like look at it, and it can be like really time consuming, and sometimes that takes longer time because we have to have like enough speed to get into the rail, or like, you know, there's a lot of factors like, is this place open tomorrow? So it's fun, but it can also be like a really challenging part of filming a movie.
Yeah, that really reminds me of backcountry filming, when we're looking at topo maps, like dropping pins of where the good terrain is at, but then you have to work with your entire team and based on the day, where you can actually go and execute your goals.
Yeah.
Okay, so final question.
Okay.
What is, this is a cliche question, but what's next? What's coming up for you looking into this next season?
I'm not actually, like, I don't have anything fully planned for this season. I'm going to Retallick with a bunch of girls riding some powder. But I mean, I'll be filming streets somewhere. It all depends on where the snow's falling, and I kind of want to go somewhere new, but I'm not producing another movie this year or anything like that, so we're just keeping it open.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing whatever comes about of your season.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and your film with us tonight.
Thank you.
And now we're going to roll into the teaser for Alex and Anna, who are going to come up here after their teaser plays. They were both in the Blank Collective's film, Feel Real. So one more hand for Maria.
Thanks, guys.
That was Anna. Let's get some action for her. And another little round of action for Alex, who's also in the film.
Hi.
Okay, so these two are in Feel Real by Blank Collective Films. And Alex, will you give us a rundown on what that film was about? And I did watch it, and I noticed that there's a theme byline kind of throughout. Can you describe what it is for us?
Yeah, I guess the whole Feel Real philosophy was to give a little inside look into what it's actually like to film a ski movie. So Anna and I were tasked with doing a lot of iPhone clips and GoPro clips behind the scenes that really like captured what we were feeling at the moment of dropping in or getting skunked when the conditions didn't line up because that happened a lot last year. And just kind of like the real moments in between what you get to see on a production level film. That's my synopsis.
Okay, there is one segment, well, there's a lot of POW segments, but there's one in particular where you were like inside of the snowpack. It was just over top of you. It wasn't just where it blows up around you, but you were like trenching through it. Can you, I know both of you were on that trip, but can you tell us about that particular POW day? And then we'll have Anna tell us a little bit more about the dynamic that you two have when you're filming together.
Well, Anna was actually in Australia, I believe. RIP, sorry. But it was literally January 3rd to January 8th in Whistler, BC, my hometown, where we are at currently, was insane. It probably snowed 2 meters in that time frame, and to the point where we were like, we don't even know what to do with this much snow. We were like building in runs so that we could like get enough speed to actually make a turn at some points. But it was just the most insane day, like few days skiing that I've ever had. And most of it, that segment was shot out in Journeyman Lodge. It's in the Callahan country. It's kind of in between Whistler and Squamish. And then it also has the Pemberton ice cap, which really aids in having cooler conditions, so the snow ends up being a little bit lighter and we can trench deeper and get all of those excellent over the head moments.
Also, there's a little bit of science behind how that's happening.
I
hear you also have some fun facts about La Nina and some recent information that's been coming in.
I feel like Anna is more in tune with this, actually.
I mean, Alex is the weather nerd, so I feel like she can explain the science. I just got an article that hyped up my expectations for the season because it's the 3rd La Nina year in a row, and yeah, it's just like a scientific synopsis of telling us that we're going to get good snow in Western Canada. But I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I'm not a weatherman. Alex is the weather lady. You'll see her poring over the weather at any given moment. She has spreadsheets on spreadsheets of weather. Okay, it might be a bit of I'm embellishing, but she has spreadsheets on everything that we ski. She's very organized.
Fine.
Okay, but so you're saying it's going to be a good winter?
I'm not saying that. I'm just alluding to it, kind of.
Okay, so we cannot quote Anna on this, but we can just feel excited about it.
It's off the record.
Okay, nobody can repeat this. But what I do want to hear more from you is about your season filming with Blank, because you got a nomination for the Best Female Ski Performance, I believe. And
Woo!
And yeah, tell us about your season filming with Blank and some of the highlights that stood out to you.
Yeah, so this was my 3rd season filming with Blank. The first one I kind of went on a couple days here and there. This season was really special to me because we had so many females filming with us. I'm pretty sure there was parity in the film, like 50% guys, 15% women, and I'm also pretty sure that's the first time, apart from all female films, it's the first time that that's happened, which was really cool. So most days that I was out shooting, there was another girl with me, and all really rad girls. There's Alex, Jess Hodder, Leah, Emma Patterson. My sister came out. The blondes, Tonya and Emily, were out there a little bit. So it was awesome. And you just had this, it made it so much more fun, and I would say less stressful. You always sort of had someone to giggle with at the top of the line, and I don't know, just like be real with a little bit. Sometimes I feel like when you're filming with all boys, you have to be extra tough. Like you literally can't show any weakness. Like if you're tired, you shouldn't say you're tired. If I don't know, you're scared, you won't say you're scared. But I feel like with other females, like there's a little bit more openness between the athletes and sort of saying like how you really feel. So, I mean, I guess that plays into the movie title, but probably wasn't thought of by the editor. But I think for me that was really special. As Alex mentioned, we had like a pretty tricky winter. I know like down south in America, it was also the same. So we were out there a lot trying. I would say we got an A+ for trying hard.
Yeah, we tried very hard.
Really freaking hard.
Super hard.
Drove up to Powder King, which is like 12 hours northern BC, got skunked there. Tried to plan heli trips, kind of got skunked there. Like it
Drove to Golden, got skunked.
For a day or something.
I got a tattoo. It was great.
Yeah. So yeah, while it was a tricky season snow-wise, it was, I think, really, I'm going to say revolutionary to have that many like women to ski with.
So you're saying giggling makes you ski better?
Correlation is not causation, but maybe.
Leave it to the spreadsheet, gal.
Sorry, science.
Science gal. Yes. So I was gonna ask you what your 3 top characteristics are for a backcountry partner, because I know a lot of the filming that you did was in the backcountry for both of your segments. And that's just like a whole dynamic in itself when you're having some challenging conditions, but also the pressure to deliver something beautiful and artistic, and you want to ski really well and also push yourself. So there's a lot of these human factors going on while you're also in avalanche terrain. But it sounds like there was a really unique dynamic with the number of females who were part of your filming process that kind of shifted perhaps the paradigm that you may be used to. And so you kind of answered that question a little bit already as far as the female dynamic, but I know the two of you also have a fun dynamic. So with all of that, to preface the question, I'll bring it back to what you think like 3 characteristics are in a good backcountry partner when you're out there in the mountains.
For me, I would say positivity. I hate when people are negative Nancy's, because especially in a film crew, it just brings the whole vibe down. Like if you're out there with 5 people and you have one bad egg, like everyone's kind of bumming. Second is safety, of course. Like you want to be able to trust the people that you're out there with, that they're making good decisions. You know, like sometimes people can get pretty excited and do renegade things, and then again, the whole crew has to pay for that if someone gets hurt or does something silly. And third, I would say, like, not taking themselves too seriously. You know, like, it's just skiing, it's just a ski film. Like, I know that people build their careers on this, but no one's curing cancer out there. And so, I like having partners that it's just like, yeah, it's just skiing. It's meant to be fun. Like, no one's going to win an Oscar over this, except maybe if Jimmy Chin's out there. But he's not out there with us, so.
No. I think it would be hard to narrow it down to 3 qualities, but I think there's definitely like a duality to being out there. There's all the preparation, the diligence, the knowledge, the experience, and those are like those hard skills that you learn throughout it. But I think that at the end of the day, like Anna said, just thinking about the collective who is out there and putting your ego aside is super important. Just being able to acknowledge like where everyone in the group is at and figuring out like what works best. Like I think of it as like a wolf pack, and this happens in like nature, is they put the sick and the old in the front of the pack to set the pace, and that is kind of like how I think of being in the backcountry, you know? Like those are the people who maybe have like the least experience in some ways should be leading, and we should be listening to them and where they're at and knowing where to push them, you know? But that's kind of like that duality where it's like the knowledge and then the group and just accepting both aspects.
Okay, Alex, next question's for you. And last year you produced your own series, is that right?
Yes.
Yes, and this year was, I believe, your first year in a larger scale production company, right?
Yes.
Okay, now that we got that straight, can you talk to us about the differences, like the ups and downs of comparing those 2 different processes?
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of pros and cons to both. I think that doing your own project, I definitely was just like really pushing myself, and I was out there every day possible filming, and I was doing that with Blank as well. just the difference is you just have a little bit less control when you're going out with a production company, but you have way more support. And I would say overall for myself, it's tough to weigh both of them and compare both of them because they're just so different. I had to rely so much on myself and my partner Max, who filmed and produced with me my whole entire segment from the year before, which I'm like eternally grateful to. And then this year to people like Anna and Alexi, who I was going out every day, but maybe at the end of the day I don't have as much control over the footage, I should say, but I learned so much from, and I think both are amazing experiences and they can't really be compared, you know what I mean, in some ways.
Okay, and a similar question for Anna. I learned that the last time you filmed with your sister was when you produced your own film together. And then you got to ski with her again this year in the Blank Collective. What was your favorite part about getting to ski and film with your sister?
We had a really fun time. We stayed in this bougie heli ski lodge, which was really nice. And I think just like the jokes and the comfort level, and like I think I'm most comfortable around my sister compared to anyone else. Like I think a different side of my personality, like the real me comes out.
Accurate.
And sometimes people are like, oh, like I thought you were so serious. Or, oh, I thought you were so like straight. And then I'm with my sister and I'm like, we're just like rude and giggling and like, I don't know, beating each other up. So that's really fun.
It was really cool for me because I don't have a sister. So I got to go on this trip with them and I got like a whole insight into what having a sister is like. And I can say it's both amazing and frustrating at the same time.
Do you want one?
Sibling.
Do you want one now?
No.
Nat's up for grabs.
I'm good. I have a brother.
I'll sell her to you.
It's okay. Cheap. You can keep her unless you want my brother.
For Nat's sake, we're gonna cut it off there. Sisters are not up for bid today.
Throw in the dog.
No.
Awesome. Well, we are out of time. I would love to continue asking you questions all night, but you clearly have a really fun dynamic, and I would love to film with both of you, or just go skiing. So I'll be back. And yeah, everybody, please give them a round of applause.
Up next, I am going to be interviewing Anto and Francisca from Amar Nasser. So let's check out that trailer right now. And give a round of applause for Francisca. Anto, thank you for being with us. Where are you coming from today?
We're coming from Chile.
Amazing.
Yes.
Great work on the film. Very powerful, very beautifully shot. Can you just tell us more about the film to begin with?
Me? You're looking to me?
I'm looking to either of you, both.
Okay. This film, we feel it started because we want to spread a message. It started because we both got injured, and then we were like, oh, we're loving the process of healing, so we wanted to share it with people that maybe don't know how to love that process and can be hard. So a film is a great way to spread good messages, so that's great. And well, in the film we were Anto, me, and the filmer. So we were a small crew. We all were split borders. It's just a walking film. And at the same time, because that we have to take care of us a lot, because in Chile it's kind of hard if you are exposed in the mountains because they rescue you and the things. But yeah, Anto, you want to say something?
Hello everyone, thank you for having us here. And for us it's really important to be here because it's not about just our healing, it's about everyone's healing, and you just have to watch the movie, but we really want to spread this message that really inspire us, and we really want, and we are looking forward to inspire others. And as Fran said, when you're in Chile, it was a really good teamwork, the three of us with Xavi, that is the filmer, because we were alone in really, like everywhere where you go to the backcountry, and we had to take care of the three of us, and it was something very special, and we're happy to spread this message.
Yeah, that's amazing. Honestly, I feel like in snow sports, injuries are prevalent. I've had my fair share of them, and your message in the film really shone through. And I'd love for you to talk about the title a bit more, because obviously it's in Spanish, and for folks at home who maybe don't speak Spanish, could you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, so the title of the film is Amanecer, and Amanecer is a game of words in Spanish. So it is a mix between sunrise and love to be born. So if you just change one letter to the word sunrise, you get love to be born. And
yeah, so in the movie we and inner healing, we were support a lot for the sun, because the sun shows us that you can go out every day again. And go out again is like to choose to live every day, and you can reborn every day. If you have a really bad day, it's okay, live it, and the next day you can say, okay, today I'm gonna wake up happy and bright and start again. That can be a forever cycle.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like that was just such a big theme in your movie. You always talked about the lightness, which were those good days, and then the darkness, which were the maybe not so good days. And so when you were recovering on those dark days, what would the light person say to the dark person to like pull them through? You know what I mean? And what would yourself say to yourself who was injured now? You know what I mean?
That everything is temporal. Everything is gonna finish, and you just have to trust in the process. And it's gonna finish in one point. It's when you're cold in the mountain and you imagine your bed and to be warm and you're hungry, and that's gonna finish. And then you're in your bed and it was like, wow, it was a great day and I'm stoked about that. Well, it's the same with dark days, that maybe you have to be conscious that, okay, that's awful, but it's gonna finish and I'm gonna heal in one point. And well, of course, some things are more long, but in one point it's gonna finish as well, or it's gonna evolution. How is it?
Evolve. Yeah, you got it. You nailed it.
And also that it's super normal to have like dark days. Like having dark days, it's healthy, I feel, because the other day you are pushed like to yourself to feel better and to have better days, and it is totally normal to feel bad or to feel down, but if you don't have the darkness in your life, you can't find the light. So you have to find the right balance, just like your t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, when they showed up, they said they liked my T-shirt because this was the original design.
Yeah, we thought at the beginning, okay, let's do the poster like the yin yang photo. But after we thought many other things, and we finished with this poster.
It's beautiful. Obviously, you two have the bond through injury, but tell us how you met.
Fran and I think we just met in the mountains like many years ago. We don't really know when, but I'm sure we met in the mountains, snowboarding around, I'm sure. Yeah. But this, like making this project together really got us really together, and we make like this big friendship that we have right now, and it is like we have this son together that is the film, and we are super excited about that. Yeah.
It's so amazing to see female-led and female-directed projects coming out, and so excited for everyone at home and everyone in Whistler to check it out. But I would love to throw it to Shannon Corsi. She's going to be up next for our interviews, and we're going to be showing the trailer for Nexus, who she is the director for. So let's check that out.
Earlier on, I was in this mode of always wanting to fit in.
You look really fucking good, dude.
Thank you.
Okay, ski like you know how to fucking ski, girl.
Felt like I had something to prove all the time, and time after time I was told, one's enough. We don't need any more than one girl. And that does stuff to you, you know, if you hear that enough.
I think skiing really felt like a place where we were really in touch with who we actually are.
Seems like around every corner there's like another little secret spot.
Honestly, I think that me experiencing joy here is like a biggest form of resistance. Resistance against the same old, same old.
Brooklyn dropping. Get it.
Okay, one more time for Shannon. She's the producer of Nexus. How incredible. Okay, Shannon, first of all, just right off the bat, can you give us a quick description of what the name Nexus means and how you came up with that idea?
Yeah, this works, good. Nexus is the central point of a lot of things that are connected. And in the context of the film, we have 4 different segments and 1 set of narrators, overall 5 different stories, and they really are all very distinct. Nexus explores the breadth of the experiences that you can have as a woman in skiing, and the center point of all of that is skiing, the Nexus.
I think that that title really ties in the entire concept that I personally am really drawn to and love to see more of in the whole world of action sports and adventure sports, films in particular, is using the sport and the beauty of the mountains as almost an attention catcher of some common thing that we all love, but then using storytelling to share a deeper message. You are up for an award for Best Storytelling. And one thing I really liked about the way that you organized the dialogue of the film is the conversations between each of the pairs that were in the different segments. So instead of just a talking head interview, when you see the film, you'll probably notice that there's the gals are mic'd up and they're either out on a walk or they're in the mountains and they're talking to each other about their experience. What brought you to make the decision to have your storytelling along, you know, in that style?
Well, first off, we didn't really love talking heads. But really, you know, the goal stylistically was to make the viewer feel like they were there. You know, a lot of the reasoning behind the film, at least for those of us who brainstormed it, was there just wasn't a lot of this kind of media, and especially so narrative based. And, you know, when we thought about what we wanted from it and what we wanted to be seeing. We wanted to be seeing something that more mirrored our own lives and experiences. And we kind of wanted to create that like very intimate experience for viewers.
And this was one of the first films you've produced, right?
The first film.
This was the first film that Shannon produced. It is absolutely incredible. It is such high quality. But one thing that really inspires me about you and your team is that you had a vision, something that you wanted to see in this space, and you put together a team that had a similar vision and mission, and then you went out and you did it. Like, you made it happen, and you didn't just kind of do it. You absolutely blew it out of the water, and that's just really inspiring to me. So thank you for doing that. And I want to know, through going through all of that uncertainty and overcoming challenges, being your first film that you've produced, what was the biggest takeaway and lesson that you learned through producing the film?
Just ask. You know, I've had a couple of conversations close to this recently of like, you know, you have to be pretty tenacious to go out there and go get the funding and pitch the idea, especially when you have like no proof of concept, you know, first film. But the biggest takeaway is sometimes it's scary to go and ask and to go advocate for yourself, but you kind of gotta just do it. And if you do it, then you can make it happen.
Right. Believe in yourself first, and then go and be like, hey, you should also believe in me.
Yeah.
And this is why.
Yeah, and sometimes it's uncomfortable to just ask, but you kind of, if you want to see things happen, you have to go advocate for yourself.
Okay, this is a little bit more of a personal question, is what was the biggest thing you learned about yourself through this journey?
Two things. One, I really like helicopters. That's pretty great. And the second is like, my nerves are a little bit more made of steel than I had given myself credit for before starting this project. It's pretty scary to put yourself out there like that, and it's pretty scary to be the one in charge of like a pretty large crew, especially with like a pretty limited experience. And sometimes you just gotta grit through it when it feels hard, and I didn't think I had that much in me.
And you do have it in you.
As it turns out, yes.
Okay, so we're gonna shift gears a little bit back to more of the storyline of the film. It's one of my favorites that I've seen this year, if not in ever.
Thank you.
And one thing I really liked about it was the variety of the segments. Like, each of the segments had very different characters. Can you give us a quick synopsis of those different characters and segments that you have?
Yeah, totally. So we have 5 different pairs of characters. The first 2 that you would meet watching the film are Jane and Margot. They are 68 and 70 years old. They work at Exum Guides in Jackson, Wyoming. They are the longest standing employees, predating the owner of this like very iconic guiding service. And they met 40 years ago while trekking through Nepal and became best friends, and now live waving distance away from each other in their houses right in the Tetons. And they go backcountry skiing all the time in the winter. They are so good at it that they gave our film crews a hard time keeping up. We love Jane and Margot. And then our first segment features Kate Zeliff and Veronica Paulson. These 2 really came into the public eye after winning the competition Kings and Queens of Corbetts. We followed them up to Revelstoke, the only place that had snow at the time of filming that segment, on a strike mission. And, you know, we watched this is the one segment where we get a little bit more of a taste for like the experience of filming and getting out there every day, and how these 2 like very sendy athletes can push each other. Our next segment is Kristen Norman and Sasha Dingle. Their mothers, they have a really interesting story, and the kind of the theme of this one is, you know, generational, a legacy, and a ripple effect going out to your communities. So their mothers escaped Vietnam from the war, and they moved to the US and found a home in ski towns. And they raised their daughters with that, who then later became pro athletes. And they in turn really give back to their communities. Kristen started the Snowpack Scholarship with She Jumps, which gets, you know, women of color into skiing. And Sasha works directly with athletes to provide meditation training and kind of teach them to like be in tune with themselves and find peace. And you know, you can see throughout the whole story with them and their moms and this generational thing, the lasting effects that they will in turn have on their communities. Our next segment is Lucy Sackbauer and Ingrid Stensbach. These two are nurses. When we initially pitched the film, it was mid-COVID. And we got to pivot to a really fun storyline this last year, which is a little bit more about the balancing act of going and making decisions in the backcountry when at work you kind of see the worst possible scenario and what it's like to be, you know, a high caliber athlete and you work a full-time job and a stressful one where you're on your feet. And our last segment is Brooklyn Bell and Michelle Parker. We took them to Alaska, where I discovered my love of helicopters. And their story is one of kind of a symbiotic mentorship. They met while mountain biking and became friends. You know, Michelle credits Brooklyn to pushing her really hard on her mountain bike, and we got to take them skiing together in Alaska. And we got to see Michelle in the same way walk Brooklyn through skiing some huge lines, and Brooklyn absolutely crushed them. It was a very cool, it's a very cool story of both friendship and like the ways that you can, you know, being around people who are in your corner can really progress you.
Amazing. Thank you for the synopsis of that.
Hi, I'm joining you too.
Alex is going to join us.
Hi.
For the people who are watching online, you can actually see the Nexus film at stops that are going to be going. They're still on tour.
We are.
And so just follow Nexus on social media and Shannon, and that's where you can find the ways that you can watch this film. And let's give a quick thank you for Shannon. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I think Alex and I might switch chairs for this next part.
Oh yeah, I'm interviewing you. Oh, sorry. I thought
All
this was
right.
the
Well,
end.
thank you so much,
Goodbye.
Shannon. Let's give her one more hurrah.
So to preface this interview, we are going to watch Amy Jane David's excellent, amazing segment in TGR. So let's cue to that.
The magic hour is the moment that you're experiencing something that makes your soul come alive. That can be many different things for many different people. That was sick!
That was the best run of my life!
I grew up skiing at a small resort out of Pinedale, Wyoming called White Pine, and that was incredible, where it developed my love of the mountains and the community of skiing around with your friends and having fun in the snow. And then when I saw my first TGR film, it completely opened my eyes to the many different ways that you can ski and the places that it can take you. I live in a place where I have to snowmobile in and out of every day in the winter. There's no road access. So a snowmobile is a real tool for me, just getting groceries into my house. And then it's also the thing that I use for fun. Then when I bring the skis, it's such a fun way to enjoy life in the mountains.
Yeah, give it up for Amy Jane David. That was amazing. Okay, so this is your first year filming with TGR. Tell us about where you went, what you did, who you were with, and how it was.
Yes, so this was my first year filming with TGR. Childhood dream come true. I remember the first TGR film I saw, having my eyes completely open to what's even existing in the world, and how skiing can take you so many places, like I think I mentioned in the little edit there. And so this year I got to go on a snowmobile ski assisted mission in Montana. We went to Cook City and then dabbled a little bit in the Bridgers. We really struggled with snow conditions. We were out for about 3 weeks, and there was a persistent weak layer, so we were just being very cautious about stepping into bigger terrain for avalanche safety conditions. But we were able to score on a few of the days. So it was a really good lesson in going into a new group of people that we've never been in the backcountry together before, in tricky conditions, and working through that. And I was just so appreciative of the team I was with. I got to go out with Jake Hopfinger and Parkin Costain as the other two athletes. They're both ninjas on snowmobiles and on skis. So it was really fun to get to double up with them and pick out terrain and see the way that they see the mountain. So it was a ton of fun.
That's awesome. And I hear you're a ninja on the snowmobile as well. But if you could give us one short best lesson from filming with that crew, let us know what that is.
Ooh, that's a tricky question.
I know. I'm sorry.
My gosh.
Put her on the spot.
Well, I don't know. This isn't necessarily the deepest lesson, but so doubling on a snowmobile, you have to have two people on the one machine, and your skis are attached to the back, and you zip up to the top, and it's like, oh yeah, I can totally do that. Not so easy, especially in ski boots, and so I don't know. I've really struggled with that maneuver, and Parkin told me, he was so sweet. He's like, when it was just the two of us trying to get up on the snowmobile, he was like, okay, just imagine we're just one organism and we're just flowing together. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense to me. So then when I look at the bigger picture of that, I was like, oh, our whole team is like an organism. We all have different parts, and we bring different essential pieces to the team and our overall goal. And if we can just kind of flow together and work together, then we'll just be better off overall. And so literally try and be an organism with whoever you're with when you're doubling a snowmobile.
I like that.
I don't know why that's the thing that clicked for me, but yeah.
Because science.
Because science and spreadsheets. And I try and make a metaphor out of everything, so.
It's important. However the message gets across, just be an organism, it's great. Okay, so the film is called Magic Hour. What would you say is magic hour to you? Because I feel like everyone has a different magic hour.
Yeah, exactly. I think that everybody does have a different magic hour. In the quite literal sense, you might think of that morning, the morning light. It's like the sense of awe that you have when you look out across the landscape and there's sparkling snow and the light is just popping, morning, evening, whatever that may be. And then you try and capture that feeling into an experience that you're having. And for us as skiers, I think it's easy to think of that in the flow state when you're skiing down a beautiful landscape. But it can really be at any point in our lives when we've put so much effort and passion and dedication into something. There's so much build-up to when it finally clicks. That moment is the magic hour.
Woo. You did it. That's amazing, and I feel similarly. Okay, so one thing that we saw in your highlight reel is you skiing behind a horse, commonly known as ski joring. Can you tell us more about that? Because I feel like we would all like to know more about that.
Yes, so it's a little bit Western, which is, if I wasn't a skier, my dream life would be to be a cowgirl, like the real deal, like out on the prairie riding around. But I did grow up in rural Pinedale, Wyoming, and my family, on both sides, has a ranch, and so we grew up riding horses, and I just have this love and soul connection to the horses. And then my adrenaline junkie side likes that little bit of a Wild West vibe, and so putting the two together was really fun. That was actually my very first time shooting any day with TGR. I sent a message to one of the producers. Wow. Yeah, not what you imagine your TGR segment being. Losing your toenails, getting drugged behind a horse, skiing over flat jumps. But I sent a message to one of the producers and said I was going to enter the local ski touring competition in my hometown, and he was stoked and sent a film crew out there, and I got to show them around my family's ranch in Pinedale, and I did tell Alex, full disclaimer, I lost both my toenails, jamming my feet into the front of my ski boots. But yeah, a little bit of Wild West and mountains is some good themes that I love.
Definitely. 8 out of 2 or 8 out of 10 ain't bad, I guess. Anyways, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for being my co-host. Let's do a shake on it. Yes. Again, we would love to thank our sponsors, Monster, Steam Whistle, Telefilm, and Massif to Soothe the Powder Stash of the East. And I hear there's an RMU after party.
Yes, everybody who's here in Whistler, go to the RMU shop and showroom where there's drinks and other fun people that you can hang out with. So after party there for both shows. And for folks who are online, we wish we could have a drink with you, but we will cheers to you ceremoniously. And for people who are tuning in online, the rest of the festivities for this week, we have a Big Mountain Live TV show tomorrow, October 21st, and then the awards gala will also be streamed live on October 22nd on Saturday, so you can find out who the winners are. Very exciting.
Very exciting.
And for people who are here in Whistler, there are lots of different films being screened both tomorrow and Saturday all day, so be excited for that. You can find more information on iF3's website or iF3 Festival on social media.
Absolutely. And if you're here live or if you're at home, if you're watching, tag us. We'd love to see how you're experiencing the whole iF3 festival. And that is at if3.com. And thank you for tuning in. Without further ado, we are going to watch some films. Thank you.